Okay, in this video I'm going to show you how to download and edit the landing page template. So what I've done is I'm just picking this first one here, landing page template 1, as you can see here, and then I'm just scrolling down the page a bit and just clicking on the download HTML files button. So that's now downloaded the zip file for that particular template, and what I've done is I've gone ahead and created a folder called HTML landing page 1, and within that I've placed the zip file that I've just downloaded. This other file here is just the form code which I set up previously before I made the video, and this is just the Aweber form code which I'll be showing you how to add to the template in another video. Okay, so with that said, let's move on, and what we're going to do now is extract this zip file. A couple of ways of doing it. I just like to double click on it. Depends if you're using a Mac or a PC. I think a PC will work the same. Just double click on it and it'll open the zip file up. If it doesn't do that, then just get a program like a WinZip to do it for you. Okay, so I'm just going to double click on the zip file, and that's now opened it up and it's created a new folder for me called landing page 1. So I'm going to open that up now and see what we've got inside. So we have inside here an images folder and an index.html file. Now the images folder, obviously that stores all of your images, and I don't recommend changing the name of the folder, and I don't recommend copying that into the images folder. Keep everything as it is. You can change the name of this index file to something else if you want to, but don't touch the images folder, and keep all your images in there. As we can see here, these are all the images that we have. So I'm just going to go back to where we were before. Now, of course, what we're going to be doing next is we're going to be editing the index file, and I highly recommend using a program called Adobe Dreamweaver for doing this. But I mean, you could use a program called there's a free program called NVU. I suppose you could use that. It's not very good, but if you know what you're doing, you might be able to make the changes that you need to make. You can also edit the index HTML file using a basic text editing program, but don't edit the HTML file in Word. Whatever you do, it's not designed for that, and it will actually make it worse for you by adding a lot of junk code in there. So the thing to do is to use Adobe Dreamweaver to edit your HTML files. Simple as that. That's what I've been doing ever since I got online 10 years ago. I haven't used anything else except for Dreamweaver. So it's not free, but it's worth the price you pay if you're going to be editing web files a lot. I highly recommend that you get a copy of it. And actually, on this page, if you scroll down below here, below these videos, there's a link where you can actually go and download a free trial copy of Adobe Dreamweaver. Okay, so you can at least get started with it. So let's edit the index page in Dreamweaver. Okay, so I'm going to do that right now. I'm just going to open it up. So here we have it. Here's our page. And so this is as it all is. Now, if you're not familiar with working with HTML files, I'll just give you a quick kind of overview of it. We've got these lines here. This is basically what's called a table, and these are cells within the table. It's like a grid, if you like, a kind of a grid structure where everything fits into it. So we have a cell here, and within this cell we have a headline. And if you want to edit it, you just click on it and you just change the word. Like so. Okay, and you can do that for any of these text areas here. You just select it and change the text. I mean, that's the simplest level of this you can do to get this page looking the way you want it to look. Just simply click, select it, change it, then save the file, and you're done. But if you wanted to go in a little bit deeper and say, well, actually that headline there is too big for me, I want to change the size of that, it's too big. So what I've done is I've set it up in such a way that you can easily do that. And the way it's done is like this. Within Dreamweaver, you'll have the ability to look at the code, a split view between the code and the design. Obviously, what we're looking at here is the design side of it. It's also called like what you see is what you get editing. So That's another word for it. Dreamweaver calls it design. So they call it design view. So let's have a look at the code. Right, now I need to just play around with these windows because they're a little bit too big. I can't really show you what's going on. Here we are, that's better. So if we look at the source code of that page, we can see we've got what's called CSS code here, and the CSS code controls the characteristics of the text on the page. So it would determine the font used, the size, and the color. Then everything else is just plain old HTML, as we can see here, as we just scroll down the page. So this is all we have there for HTML. If I scroll up the page here, and I'll just quickly show you something. So if we go to design view again, and what we want to do is we need to change that headline to make it smaller. So the way we would go about doing that is we'd look at the code, and we'd need to look at the CSS, and we need to look at the CSS called headline, like so. Now if you don't know what the name of that is, it's very easy to find out because it's referenced again within the HTML code itself. So the headline is this. We can see, if I just move this over a bit, we're a bit limited for space here. So this is the new main headline here, and the span class is headline. So that is what that is called as part of the CSS code here. So if we look up the page here, there we have it there. Right, so if I change the size of this now, let's say we're going to do it 36, the size is going to be 36 px. Px is just means pixels, and the line height is 58. That's too much, so I'm going to change it down to 38. So we've got 36 font size and 38 line height, and obviously the line height is the difference between the size between the lines, the baseline of each line of text. And of course we've got the color there. That color is just what's called a hexadecimal number that relates to the color for that. Don't worry about that for now. So let's go back and see how that looks. So go back to the design view, and we can see that our headline now is substantially smaller. So that's really the simplest way of looking at this in terms of just editing the file. You change the text by highlighting it like that, and the same is true of this area over here. You just highlight it, change the text to whatever you want it to say, and if you wanted to apply a style to it, we actually need to look at the properties along the bottom here. So if I was to select here where it says new, just any part of the text here, and then what we need to do is look at the HTML, and then if we look here where it says class, you can kind of see something appear in there, but if I click on it, it comes what am I talking about? You can't see any of this. Sorry, let me move this up. So okay, what we can do here is to identify exactly what CSS style that is. There's a properties window which you'd need to open up within Dreamweaver. If it's not already open, it should just be at the bottom of the screen there, and we need to click on HTML. Then we go over to here and look at class, and we can see that it's called headline. But we can actually change the class of the whole thing if we wanted to. We can change that to like body text bold large, for example. That's one way of quickly changing it. But of course what we need it to be is a headline. So there you go. That's how you go about editing the landing page, and this is the same for all of the landing pages I've given you. The same rules apply. You open it up in whatever editor you want to use. I recommend Dreamweaver, and you just select the text, type in your new text, and then save it. Always make sure that you save it, and that will overwrite your original version you've extracted from the zip file I showed you just now. You've obviously got the code. You can look at kind of both at the same time if you wanted to. That's another way of doing it. If you just select it like that, you can see how it's highlighted straight away within the source code. So it's another way of doing it. It's actually quite easy to do it that way because you can see exactly what you're looking at. As you can see here, there's that class again I showed you, the headline. That's obviously the headline. There's the headline text there. You can edit the text here, or you can edit the text there. Okay, if ever you get stuck, just undo it, and if you want to go back to the beginning again, just simply unzip that original zip file again, and you're going to be able to get what you want. I don't recommend moving any of these tables around because you can actually select them and drag them and move them about like that, but I don't recommend doing that. Of course, we've got the submit button here. Oh, one other thing, within the CSS code there's one thing that you shouldn't touch. Let me show you, and it's a CSS code for these form fields here where you put your name and email address in, and that is right at the top here. If I go back up to the top, and we can see what we're looking at, we've got opt-in field. Whatever you do, don't touch that. All this other stuff can be changed, and you can play around with it if you wanted to, but I would just keep it really simple and just literally open it up, select the text you want to change it, and you're done. So in the next video, what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how to add the Aweber code to this form here, so we can actually start getting names and email addresses when we make this page live. So that's in the next video, and I'm also going to show you later on how to upload all these files to your website. Okay, so there you go. Thanks very much.